Hey, Onya Mark Community. We are talking about something that I don't think could ever be talked about enough, and that is knowing that your network is your net worth. I'm sure you've heard this popular phrase before, but it basically means that the caliber of the people that you build relationships and surround yourself with is going to be what sets you up on the trajectory to be successful and close more qualified people. And the best way, of course, to stay top of mind is through your own content. So, hey, I'm Ashley, I'm Onya Mike, and we're going to talk all about all the things when it comes to building your network today. So, on your market set, listen. Okay. So, first and foremost, the number one most important thing you need to do before you start creating any kind of marketing collateral in general is building a network and building a following. And while depending on your brand or industry, having a company profile can be extremely advantageous as you grow to become known for your brand, the best thing and the most effective way for you to create even more sales and bring in revenue in your business is actually to develop your personal brand. And listen, when I say your personal brand, please don't hear influencer. Please don't hear that you have to be posing with all of these products and things like that in order to build your brand. It's not what I'm talking about. What I'm referring to is being known as a accredited or credible professional in your industry so that you become the go-to person that people have for referrals. And you do that by building a network of people that would potentially and prospectively buy for you. And I want to give you an example of why this is so important. So, when I started my marketing agency, formerly known at that time, it was It Media. All I wanted to do was hide behind my brand. I created all of these company pages to make it look like we had this big profile and that we had all these things, which is great, right? It really boosted our credibility. We would get leads that way. But the issue is, people don't necessarily, when it comes to new brands, people want to buy from brands that they know, like, and trust. And what my mentor at the time encouraged me to do that changed and revolutionized the way that I did business was she told me to stop hiding behind my company and to put Ashley out there. I kid you not. I even spoke and I hosted this workshop and a lunch and learn to really build my network. And it was hosted by It Media instead of Ashley Monk. And I had some of my closest friends come and they were thinking, oh my goodness, like, I had no idea, Ashley, that this was your business. I had no idea you were up to that because I was so scared and I was trying to hide behind the company instead. When the reality is, the caliber of your connections come from you personally. They come from the relationships that you build. And as a result, when I started being willing to put myself out there as opposed to only staking the reputation by a company that was relatively new, I noticed substantially how many more qualified prospects I was put in front of immediately. And that means building your network. So, how do we do that? Well, first and foremost, you got to show up. You've got to be willing to be active, specifically on LinkedIn and on Facebook and on Instagram, to where you're willing to show up and build relationships, and not just any relationships. My challenge to so many of you listeners, and that I see, one of the biggest shortcomings that I see in entrepreneurs is that they try to collaborate with people that are in a similar vein, a similar income demographic, a similar industry. It's comfortable to align yourself with people that are in the same place as you. But this is actually one of the biggest mistakes that I see being made, is that we are so accustomed to becoming comfortable that we only surround ourselves by people that are like us instead of a layer or a degree ahead of us. And when we do that, when we surround ourselves by more seasoned professionals that, have bigger booming businesses and are more successful as us, it immediately helps us raise ourselves up into that standpoint. And so therefore, to build a higher caliber network, you've got to go after higher caliber people that are just a step ahead, or maybe even a few more ahead of where you're at right now. And so when you start looking for, maybe you're at a solopreneur and you start looking for people that maybe have a few employees in their network, or if you're like us, we have a team of 9, which is crazy. And we start going after bigger and bigger companies. What I'm doing is I'm strategically trying to invoke different partnerships of people that are just a step ahead. Now, could I go to the moon? Absolutely. But the reason that I intentionally try to find somebody just a step ahead is oftentimes there's overlap and mutual connections in order to help me just barely get over that threshold to make those relationships. And so when you're looking for people, to build as a part of your high quality network and to ultimately increase your net worth, that is one of the most effective ways to do it. And so I found that going on LinkedIn and first and foremost, finding credible connections of people that you want to like, that you know are successful, is the best way to start. So, what influencers are there in their space, or like what are people that you know that are incredibly successful and kind of where you would want to see yourself in a year or two? Go on their profile and on LinkedIn, look at those secondary connections of people that you need to meet and begin to build relationships with them. The same on Instagram. Go ahead and look through and kind of sift through to figure out if there's a major influencer that you follow or somebody that's a thought leader in the space. Who are they following, or who's following them that looks like you have some mutual people that you follow? That is usually the sign that you want to be looking out for those profiles and building relationships with them so that you can further that. So that is the first step, is making sure that you intentionally select people that you think would actually be a good resource to be a part of your network, instead of just wasting your time hopping on 15-minute calls or building relationships with people that ultimately aren't going to be able to pay it back to you in the end. So that's the first step, is identifying the right people to be in front of. Now, the second step is that, of course, a lot of times, the second step is to build a relationship. So people put the cart before the horse. And typically when they see someone that they potentially want to work with or mentor them in some capacity, they just go for the big ask. And listen, I do this, and there are strategies and tactics where this can work. But more often than not, the more effective way to build that relationship and be thinking for the future of your business and for your relationships is really building it for the long term. So having an icebreaker, maybe having someone, if you know that someone else knows them well, asking them to just introduce you for the sole purpose of connecting and adding value to them. Is there anything you can do to add value to them? Because what you don't want to do is be the mooch or the person that's just constantly asking for business and never giving any in return. I've had colleagues do this to me, and I can tell you that there's no way that I'm eager to give someone business that's not willing to reciprocate. But instead, I try to give referrals and try to get other people's names out there too and add value. And I always find that they come back to me tenfold when I do that. So the second step is to really cultivate the relationship. Ask for an in or an intro or some way to kind of bridge that gap that's not directly going for the ask, because it can ultimately help the trajectory of that relationship for the future. And finally, the next thing that you want to do is to stay top of mind for them. So oftentimes, especially for companies that you really want to go after, listen, I continue to prospect them and send touch points, and they will hear from me until they finally tell me no, which, hasn't happened yet. But, what you really want to do in that intermittent waiting period for people that you're trying to develop relationships with, you can touch them through personal content. And so instead of creating branded content for your company, which can be helpful for brand awareness in the long term, what is most effective from a selling standpoint is your face, getting them to see you, to feel familiar with you, and to build a relationship with you. And I know personally the way that I do this is by really highlighting my wins, what I've been recognized for, in addition to just creating content. And this comes down to creating content pillars of your professional content, your personal content, and then your ask content, so to speak. So what I have found to be the most successful when it comes to building my network is using these threefold. Seeing me and my family humanizes me and gives me a conversation starter. And it also tends to perform well. Even on the LinkedIn algorithm, I sprinkle those family posts in here and talk about professionally what it's like to have a family and then to be a business owner. But those personal touches help reactivate me in the Instagram algorithm and on Facebook. And they just help me stay top of mind, but also allow me to have that warmer touch because people see my family. The next is going for wins. So the next most effective thing that you can do is on these professional platforms to stay top of mind is simply to celebrate what you're doing that's working. Maybe it's client results. Maybe it's speaking at an event or summit. I know for me, that was one of my most popular things, because when you speak at an event, it's able to not only leverage you, but the credibility that's coming from wherever you're speaking. And if you tag those mutual connections, that can help reinforce that tactic as well. And then finally, going for the ask of, hey, I've got X amount of spots to be able to help do X, Y, Z. Are you interested? Because at the end of the day, you may have planned to connect with someone in the long run. I see it all the time where someone, is thinking about, I saw this with a colleague of mine and someone that I referred them to just a couple weeks ago. I was referring a colleague of mine as a trusted mentor and coach that I have personally. And, that colleague was just did not think that they were ready to really take the leap and to begin investing in coaching. And I said, that's fine. You should still reach out and, build the relationship now. And so, of course, through talking through those wins and talking through what works and what doesn't work, and simply by just using and kind of going for that ask, sure enough, that colleague ended up beginning that working relationship sooner. And that happens all the time when we're consistent and we just sprinkle out those types of pillars to really allow our network to see them. And they're very helpful for our network to pass them along and to better conceptualize what it is that we do when we're coming from our personal profile. Because again, when we come from the company profile alone, sure, it can be great for brand awareness, but when you see the face of someone that is being an ambassador for a brand, it immediately kind of has that personal touch, and that if they trust that if this person is willing to stake their name and their reputation behind it, then I must be willing to trust that. And so those are the best ways to really leverage your network into having a higher net worth, because when you increase the caliber of the people that you want to develop relationships with, if you consistently begin to nurture them and to touch them and to engage with them and ask for things in a non-sales capacity, and then finally, if you are willing to take the time to stay top of mind, those three things can revolutionize the people that you're bringing into your overall ecosystem, into your network, so that you can really, really go after the people that you want to. And keep in mind too, one of the notes that I'll leave you with this is, so often, we complain about bad clients, but remember that a lot of times the people that you're attracting may not be the people that you want to continue to attract. And that rises and falls with your network. If you're still attracting people that you no longer want to serve, usually it's not your marketing, it's just the people that you've surrounded yourself with and what they've known you for. And so it means raising your standards and raising the caliber of what you do by bringing and attracting more people that are aligned with where you're headed into your overall ecosystem. All right, that's all I've got for you this week. I would love to know, what is the number one takeaway that you had? What did you get out of this quick tidbit of building your network? I would love to hear from you and love to know what you're doing to take action from this episode this week. All right, until next week, I'll see you then.